When a man sends mixed signals, it messes with your head. I mean, is he being honest or just good at lying? Does he care or is he manipulating you? As an interrogator and one of the top body language experts who's trained with the FBI, help us decode the actions we think mean love, but might actually be signs of danger or manipulation, with something I'm calling, is it love or lies? So I got number one, is he faithful or just hiding it well?
Okay. Guys are going to act completely differently than they do normally. Where you been? I was at the store hanging out with Jason or Greg or Chase or Mark or whatever. That's going to go smoothly. And then that's it. But the time to start looking is when they start adding what are called qualifiers to those answers. Oh, I was at, fishing with Mitch. We went down there and we saw Ken and those guys. I drove and giving all these details guys don't give. When guys communicate, they give very short answers. Just give you a little bit of information.
Yeah. All right. Would it make a difference if we go through this list and the person is a psychopath?
Psychopaths can adapt to just about anything. Psychopaths aren't going to show you the same body language that most people do when they're not being honest, because you can't scare them. You can't get them worried about anything. You can't get them heated up. You can't get them all tense about something that's going to happen. There was a study done, I believe at Berkeley, and they had people come in and would say this: look, we're putting a person in here. We're gonna shock them. We're gonna count from 10 to 0. We're gonna shock them, and let's see what happens. And they'd count down 10, 9, 8, 7, get to 1, and shock them. Okay, now we're gonna jack it up a little bit. And they do it and get higher. And they would read out how fast their heart was beating, how fast they were breathing, were they sweating, what was going on. And for normal people, everything would happen. They say, okay, we're going again. Then their heart would start beating faster and they start breathing heavier. And the ones they found that were psychopaths, what are known today, are called psychopaths, then nothing would happen. They would go back to calm once the pain was gone, and they'd count 10, 9, nothing would change. So they couldn't get them upset or excited about what was going to happen. That's why you have, let's say, a serial killer can go and do all these crazy things and not be afraid to get caught, because there's a part of their brain called the amygdala, which is part of the limbic system, and it's not functioning properly, or it's missing. So there's no fear with them. So when it comes to lying, if I was a psychopath, I would have no fear of lying. I could get away with it and not look like I was lying because I wouldn't sweat. I wouldn't be nervous. I wouldn't be checking you to make sure you believe me. I would just deliver it and go on as normal.
Oh my God, yeah. This information is so great. So I've got, is he intense or is he love bombing you?
Okay. It goes down to the approach of the psychopath. For example, when you meet a psychopath, you have the feeling you've met this kindred spirit that you can't believe you've done without your entire life. I can't believe I've never met this guy before. You're calling your mom, you're calling your friends. You're gonna love him, he's awesome. He likes the same things I do, because what he's doing is he's acting like you act. They watch you and listen to you, and your voice inflection, this sounds horrible, but I'm used to doing it from work, is I could do your voice inflection.
Oh, please do it.
No, because
oh, no, go on. Oh, I want to see how easy it is. Have you really?
To help us sort of.
Oh my God,
it.
really?
Yeah.
So you did it, you heard my accent,
you
did it in order to connect.
This is going to sound so corny, but when you use words, you have a specific space between your words.
I do.
In your cadence. Everybody does. And so I know how far apart that is. And so my words, if you'll go back and listen to this, have been spaced right where yours. It's not that big a deal. It's very subtle. It takes a lot of these to make a difference. But once you do that, I know when your voice is going up at the end, it starts off a little slow and it gets excited at the end. At the very end is when you actually hit the up part, is on the last part of the last word. So like there. Whoa.
And just to let people know, actually, we just met. So it's not like you've been studying me for a long time and now you figured out how I talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were a psychopath, you would use it as a tool?
Oh yeah, because I want you to see you and me, because there's nothing in here personality-wise. I'm an intra-species predator who sees you as the one who's going to be, in other words, the victim. Most people are under the impression that psychopaths are these brilliant things. They're not. It comes natural to them because they're a predator. So people think they're brilliant when most of the time not most of the time, a lot of times just some doofus who just wants you to like them a lot, but they know how to make you like them. They've studied people and they understand that when you see yourself, you've heard matching and mirroring and all that. Where matching is when I would talk like you, and then mirroring is when I would make my body language similar to yours as we're talking. Because it'd be weird if I sat down and looked at you and went like this all of a sudden. So tell me, But if I slowly get into it as we're talking, and I do my leg like that, then I like that, but people do it when they like each other. It's totally normal and totally fine. Friends do it, best friends do it, because you're connecting and people end up doing that. So with a person who is when you're dealing with a psychopath, it comes on quickly. They start doing that really fast. That gaze, they lock in with you. That's why you think you've met this person who you just can't believe you've done without. And about, I don't know, it could be 3-5 years later, and you find out when that mask finally slips, when you're married, when you're in a situation you can't get out of, that this is not the person I thought it was. This is not that person. They'll send you flowers every day. They'll keep tabs on you every day, just checking in, seeing how you're doing. But it's not the checking in, seeing how you're doing. It's like I'm moving in, and those check-ins get longer. And then where were you so-and-so? Start small.
Now, as an interrogator and one of the top body language experts who's trained with the FBI, you talk about a lot of things from a non-verbal cues, the non-verbal communication. I don't think I've got the quote, but it's something like, before the lips even move, the body tells you everything. And red flags are signs of withdrawal, discomfort, or dishonesty. And we've got number 1 is closed off posture.
Yeah, you will see people get uncomfortable after a while. They'll kind of do that self-hug and try to self-soothe themselves by doing that. It's subtle. So it's not all these things where they're moving around doing stuff. It's all these things I'm talking about are very subtle, but if you know what to look for, you can see these things. So that'd be one of the main things you look for when you're not sure if someone's being honest with you or lying to you or not. And most people think it's people break eye contact when they lie to you. But if you were to ask me, what's 3,000 minus 8 plus 2 divided by 7? And I went like this, let's see, 2,000 plus 8. And I didn't look away, that'd be weird, And then they'll start adding stuff to it. But their brain wants to make sure you believe them. So as your facial expression change, if you go like that, when the answer comes out, then you're going to start adding things to it. Mm-hmm. So I want to keep my eyes open and see if she believes me, because I haven't thought about that before, but I want to know now. So I don't have that thing of saying, I better keep an eye on her and make sure she believes me.
So once you've said the lie, you still keep the gaze, and that means they're doing it to make sure that you don't give any other micro expressions to show.
Yes, it suggests that.
Right,
that's what we're
sure. Saying. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said avoiding number 2, which is avoiding eye contact. I think we've already gone over that. Number 3, forced or asymmetrical smiles.
Yeah, that goes back to contempt. That's the only one. You see that smile go up and they go.
And why would somebody do that face for contempt if you're just asking them a question?
You may say to me, we're going out for chicken. We're going out for fried chicken. I'm from Nashville. So I'd say, great, where you want to go? And you'd go, let's just go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. I go, all right, we can do that. Because I want to go to Hattie B's. That's where the hot chicken is. It's the best hot chicken in the world. So if I went, we can do that, then that might suggest that I don't agree with that answer. And I might purse my lips a little bit as well.
All right, well, I've got a question. I don't think of psychopaths as having emotion. So would they still show contempt?
Yeah, this is great. So psychopaths, what they'll do is they'll study people's behavior as they grow older. And here's what happens. They realize with going through school and hanging out with people that something's different about them. They'll go, something's not right here. I don't know what's right. And it'll happen something like this. This is a sort of a takeoff on Dr. Robert Hare's story about this. For example, if you lived in Nashville, you might live downtown because that's where the action is. And you, as a psychopath, you decide one Saturday night, I'm gonna have sweet and sour chicken for supper. That's what I'm gonna have. So you'll go outside and you'll walk down the street and you'll see some lights down there. You see like an ambulance and some police cars. And the closer you get, you see the cops standing around and there's a woman there on the ground who's kneeling, crying over this little child who's been run over. And the child isn't alive anymore. And you look at that and you think something important's happening here. You know, you look at it for a minute and it's gonna be sweet and sour chicken. That's what I'm gonna get for Chinese, sweet and sour chicken. I'm gonna get 2 egg rolls. And you'll go get that and you'll come back home and you'll pass that again. You'll eat your Chinese food. Then you'll be thinking, what was that lady doing? I've seen that 1,000 times. That look on her face, I don't do that. And you go in the bathroom and start rehearsing what that looks like when you're crying. And they start copying and learning from other people how to behave like other people. And they will do things in front of you once they learn how to do these things to give you the impression you've seen them cry about this. And when it even cross your mind, something might be wrong with me, that I might be a psychopath. So you'll see things like that. They learn from other people. That's why people say, well, they can be rehabilitated. They've stopped doing that because they were teaching them how to be normal. And they'd go out in the wild and start doing crazy stuff again. So you really have to, when you're dealing with someone you think might be a psychopath, watch them. When a firecracker goes off or the light bursts or somebody drops something, do they go like this or do they go like this? Like that, what's it like?
Really?
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll be right back with Scott, but for 1 second, if you're struggling to build your confidence, to set boundaries, to stand up for yourself, to find your voice, then smash the subscribe button down there so you can get notified every single time one of these episodes comes out. You are not alone. We're here to build our confidence together. So smash that subscribe button so that you can get notified the next time an episode comes out. Now, back to the episode. So you can't scare a psychopath? Like if I jumped out in...
No.
Whoa.
No.
So... Okay, takeaway, this is so powerful, I didn't know this. Watch them when they don't realize that you're watching them.
Yeah.
Because that's where you will start to see
that's where you see those little things. They'll pop right out to you, go, that's odd. And you'll see, as they track, there's a thing people talk about all the time. The psychopathic stare is this. If you and I were in a bar and you're across the way and then you look over at me and I'm looking at you like this, it would be odd for me to keep looking at you. If I didn't look away once you busted me looking at you, if I didn't go, oh, like that, and I just kept looking at that, what looks like a blank stare, because I don't have the feelings for it to bother me, to be creepy, to know that I shouldn't keep looking at her, that's creepy. That's one thing, it's subtle. It's one of those things you gotta be used to seeing, but when they don't look away like that, that's one thing that you can say, something's not right here. If you see them doing that, looking at people with a blank stare, and you see that person look at them and they keep looking at them, that might be something to look for as well.
All right, we've got number 4, frequent fidgeting or grooming gestures.
It depends on what their baseline is. You know, you're starting to ask me about, did I rob a bank or something? Let's say I really robbed the bank. Then I became uncomfortable, then you might see something like I might squeeze my leg like that a little bit. Because when you squeeze your leg and then you let go, it tightens that muscle and relaxes it. Or I push on your face, you know, and because when you do that, that tightens that muscle and loosens it. And you're just sort of trying to make yourself relax.
So explain the tighten muscle and loosen. I'm not sure I understand that yet.
A lot of times you'll see in interviews when somebody's being questioned, they'll go, well, I'll tell you what I think about that, because they're getting ready to go in on something. Or it may be something you're excited about and you're trying to calm yourself down so you don't get too excited, you may do that. That's just a little one. But some people they'll do facial denting, or they'll push on their face like that, because that helps them relax as well. And some people will pull on their hair. So those are things to look for when they're getting rid of that built up stress and tension, in other words. They may rub their hands or their finger, they may go like this, or they may chew the side of their mouth or straighten up a little bit, may try to move their shoulders, you know, try to get relaxed. Yeah, like I said before, may grab their arm and just hold on to that, because they're creating a barrier between you and them. They may run their hand down to help them relax as well. You're just trying to self-soothe, trying to calm yourself down. Those are the main things I look for when I first start talking to somebody who may have done something they shouldn't have. And when those things change, when they go from sitting like this to all of a sudden they do that, and they cross their legs like this, and it gets worse, and they may go like this, and they start balling up, that's something different. Their chin comes down to protect their neck, that's something different.
Why is the chin coming down?
Well, that's your brain protecting your throat. You're trying to protect those arteries in there, you're trying to protect your throat, and so it comes down like that. When someone's getting ready to confess something, all that goes away and the chin will come up like that. They'll just bloom open like that, and you'll see that come up there. Once you've hit on the thing, and they're thinking about, I'm gonna start talking. You can see that happen, so you know to start shutting things down on your side and start the listening and you'll see that relaxation in them, as I give up, in other words.
Wow, so when you're interrogating someone, you have potentially seen them go through the entire cycle of what you just explained.
Oh yeah. And sometimes if you're dealing with a psychopath though, you won't see all these stress cues. You won't see this self-soothing, none of that. And they'll talk normal the whole time. And so it becomes a logic game or a little chess game with them at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. All right. Number 5, we've got turning away or stepping back.
Sometimes people want to distance themselves from the lie. They'll feel a bit odd. I was the entrepreneur in residence at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center from 2011 to 2017. And we would ask them questions about their finances, about how this is going to work, how you're going to do that. And when you start talking to the financial person, every time, the first time when you ask them a question, they take a little half step back as they start talking. And I would say, hang on just a minute. Let me guess. You didn't get this information yourself. Why don't you know your information? And they'll look at me and then they'll look at the CEO because that's where they got their information, although they're the financial person. But I'm like, you didn't get that information yourself, did you? And they're like, no.
Because they took a step back when you asked them.
Yeah, because they're not comfortable with that. And why they do it, we don't know. There's been studies about why they do it. Don't know. We just know it as separating themselves from the lie or the dishonesty or the deception.
Whoa. What if someone's sitting down?
Quite often they may lean back a little bit, They'll be, when you start asking questions like that, you'll see those little adapters even up here. Sometimes you won't see them, their legs moving, but you'll see their body move a little bit. If you've seen somebody sitting there and it looks like they're doing that, but you can't see their legs, and you're like, well, this might be something wrong with them because they're jiggling their leg or something. But you'll see the adapters increase as you keep questioning them.
All right, so we've got mirroring.
So even though we all communicate, we're all individuals and we're all unique, we communicate in 3 different ways. We talk about things from a visual sense, from an auditory sense, or from a feeling sense. I may say to you, this is horrible. If you go back and listen to what we've been talking about, I've been putting things in visual because you put things in visual.
Oh, like what? What do you mean?
You talk about things visually. You'll talk about, of course we're talking about body language, so it's all visual.
Yeah.
Visual people will talk about colors. They'll talk about the way things look. They'll talk about the scene. They'll talk about how things look to them. An auditory person, well, I hear what you're saying. Everything will be around the way things sound. The visual person, I see what you're saying. I see what you mean. That makes sense. The feeling person, her personality was a little bit rough, wasn't it? Yeah, a little bit rough. You'll notice these words popping up in those different, in the visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. So you talk about things from a visual perspective. I see what you mean. I'll talk about colors, or I'll talk about the way things look. Same for auditory. That sounds good to me. I hear what you're saying. And now, most people are under the impression if you want to calm somebody down who's like really up here, like, here's what's going on. You don't start down and you go, listen, you need to calm down, man. You start up here with them. I know you're upset. Let's talk about it. Then you work your way down. And if they're way down here, you don't want to start up here. Cheer up, man. Everything's great. You say, I know how you feel. You match their tone and you work them up.
And in doing that, does that make them easier, more persuadable?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, believe me. Yeah, because that's one of the tactics you use when you're interrogating someone. I like to give them the impression that I'm there to help them, which is what you want to do. And I'm just some guy in there too. I'm here just to find out why you did this. Let's say they won't talk to anybody about what's going on. Then I'll have somebody come in with a thing and say, you got to sign this. And they'll say, sign this. And I'll go, I'll sign it. I'll try to talk to them for a minute. So how are we looking time-wise? I don't know, man. And have them leave. I'll look at the person and go, yeah, so you start bonding with them that way, get down on their levels.
But that's doing what exactly? Saying, hey, me and you are on one team?
It's me and you against them. It's me and you against them. And that's my favorite, is us against them, because they're outside here, they're down the hall. For example, there's a fella who I was talking to a fella about some money he had embezzled from a bank. And I wanted to feel like it was me and him against everybody else out there. So I do my the shtick of somebody coming in and doing that.
Literally, they just give you a fake piece of paper for you to sign.
Oh, it looks like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I take a folder with me and say, bring this in.
That's amazing.
You have me sign this. And it's got to be somebody they don't know. Somebody that looks official. Looks like they're, could be FBI or who knows who it is. You've got to be wearing a little suit. And this guy, I thought I was going to have the worst problem with him. And I got to a position where it was like, after we bonded and we started talking, we were both ended up sitting like this. And I was pretty much talking about his life at the bank and how it was and all that. And finally got him to the point where he needed to tell me what was going to happen. He was right there, right getting ready to tell me. And he said, if something like this happened, what would happen to the person who did this? I said, well, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen to him. And he said, well, what is going to happen? I said, I don't know, man. I have no earthly idea. Are they going to lose their job? I said, I don't know what's going to happen. So how do they fix that? So I kept butting up against, I don't know. And I said, well, he said, what if I did it? Which is crazy talk. I've never heard anybody say, well, what if I did do it? He said, what if I did it? I said, well, you'd be in trouble. Well, how would I fix it? I said, I can't tell you how I'd fix it. He said, how would you fix it? I said, shit, I'd apologize to him. I'd go down there and apologize to him. They're right down there, fucking 3 doors down. He said, well, could I go apologize to him? I said, shit, no, they don't want to see you, man. They're mad as hell at you. So then I've turned it automatically on to pretending that I'm just accepting that. Yeah. Shit, no, man, they're mad as hell at you. No, you can't do that. Well, what should I do? I said, I can't tell you what to do. So what would you do? I said, well, hell, I'd just apologize. I'd write it down. I'd just write it down. Hell, if you wrote it down, I could take it to him. So he said, all right. And he told me what happened. He said, so you'll tell him? I said, no, I ain't gonna tell him yet. I said, if you want to tell him, you tell him. He said, so I can just write the apology? And I said, yeah. So I give him pen and paper. This guy writes out a full confession, signs his name to it, and then slides it over to me, and I start heading out the door. And then he changed his mind. Oh. Which is another story, but that got ugly quick. But then he changed his mind, but I already had the written confession on. It's all on video too. Yeah. But all starting from me connecting with him because he sees the world as a bunch of assholes. But if you see the world as an asshole with him, then you've connected with him.
All right, this is genius. Can I go a little deeper?
Sure.
All right, coming up.
Women's intuition. It's your brain's taking that information in. It's sorting through it back there in that locus ceruleus. And it's going, hang on a minute, got some info for you. It's not good about this person. We don't know what it is yet. Something's not right. We're going to get right back to you.
I want to go inside your mind right now because it seems so natural the way you were saying it, but I think that you were deliberately doing a bunch of tactics. Can you break those little things down? So number one, you actually said the guy came in, you signed it, this asshole.
Well, then you go into, say, this coffee sucks, man. Yeah, I know. They gave you coffee? Yeah, so I'm already talking to him about, so we're bonding even deeper. So I'm trying to make it me and him against all these people out there. Then you go from that, you go to, so let's talk about what happened. I can see how easy it would be to do this from what I've learned from these other people I've talked to. Because you'll talk to 5 or 6 people that'll under question. And everybody said, shit, he's the one that did it. So that's how I was pretty sure he did it. Or you can do one of these things, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I call it the thwack factor or the thunk factor.
The thwack, oh.
And you have a big old, like a folder. It's just got a bunch of papers in it, not all that stuff. And you get a piece of tape and you put their name on it. And it says, so-and-so's name on there. And you come in and you stand there and you thunk that on the thing and you go, well, this shouldn't take long. Let's talk about what happened. And if they react like this, they go, I'm telling you, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I had nothing to do with it. No, dude, I've got all kinds of stuff here that says you did. That stuff's wrong. I didn't do it. Then you have the person that goes, you go, let me ask you something. Did you do this? They say, shit, no, I didn't do it. I'd never do it. They get all mad and angry. And you go, this might be the person.
So when someone blows up on you, okay, I can't push because they're just going to stonewall me. What's then that next step for you?
Well, to get them calmed down. You say, okay, great, that's fine. I totally get it, man. I totally understand where you're coming from. But now let's talk about this. And then I go back to talking about what happened that day. Let's say they shot up a grocery store. They said you went in there and shot that thing up. Why didn't that, if you said you didn't do it, and I just leave it all, why did I do it? And I want them to start talking.
You literally deliberately kind of don't finish your sentence.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we're going to go to our next one. Sudden tension in the body, which you kind of mentioned earlier. One of the things I heard you say is one of the biggest red flags for you is when someone's too nice.
Oh yeah, because it goes back to the psychopath thing. Them trying to, I'm the most wonderful person you've ever met. Here's what I'm going to do for you. Me and you need to go do so-and-so. They're nice, that's fine. But then you see that thing in their eyes where they're like, I'm into this person. Not like I'm keep trying to impress you, you know? And when you walk away from that person, you that situation, somebody's been too nice, you'll go, even though at the time you may not notice it, when you walk away, you'll go, there's something not right about that. You know, you feel
What is
weird
that
later.
about? Why do we do that?
Women's intuition. It's your brain is taking that information in. It's sorting through it back there in that locus ceruleus. And it's going, hang on a minute, got some info for you. It's not good about this person. We don't know what it is yet. Something's not right. We're going to get right back to you. That's why it comes to you a little bit later on. It may come to you sooner. But as it's sorting through, have I met this person before? Who have I met that's like this person before? Who's sat there and done this all the time? Did that person hurt me? Everything that you've seen, your brain's comparing it to everything you've ever seen before. Is this good or bad? Is it going to hurt me? Is it going to help me? Where am I sitting with that? That's why you get that feeling. That's why I always like to focus on that for women, is that women's intuition is the most important thing you got to listen to and not blow off. Because it's your brain going, hey man, I saw something. Something's not right here. I'll let you know what it is here in just a little while. You just got to listen to it. And the brushing off of that is the reason that a lot of bad things happen. You know, and like I said before, you've probably blown things off and not realized it.
I have a bit of a problem though with the too nice thing, because there are scenarios where you're overcompensating, or people just overcompensate. They're uncomfortable. And so in that moment, you may be over-friendly to overcompensate for, oh my God, people don't like me, so maybe I just have to be nice. And it's like, you know, there's so many reasons. So how do you know the difference between somebody doing it from an anxious, insecure place, or someone that is legitimately doing it to woo you and win you over?
You look for those things we talked about before. You look for those things they start matching and marrying you too much. Somebody's really anxious and just wants to be friendly because they're nervous, that's one thing. But if it continues, if they're on that level all the time and everything keeps being wonderful every time you see that person, then something's up. The next time you saw that person who was really nervous, they shouldn't be that nervous. But if they zero in on you, and you're the one if you become the idol of that person all of a sudden, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That can be a problem.
All right, so now I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you, Scott.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Does alcohol make people worse liars or better?
Worse.
Oh. If someone believes their own lies, do they show signs of lying?
No, not if you believe it's true.
Oh, wow. All right. What's the number one lie people always think that they will get away with?
It wasn't me.
All right, there you go. Scott, this has been amazing. Where can people find you and all the amazing work that you're putting out? You've got a YouTube channel, you do podcasting.
ScottRouse.com, and then Behavior X on YouTube, and the Behavior Panel. You know, so that's the one we have the most fun at.
That's cool.
So.
Guys, I go deep into trying to find the right people to bring to you so that we can start to learn how we build our confidence and never let anybody ever take it away from us. Whether it's someone toxic in your life, whether it's someone that you're just not sure if you can trust, whether it's a partner, whether it's a business partner, whoever it is, I want you to have the confidence to be able to assess, to feel good in the room, to feel good around that person, and to feel good to walk away if your gut is screaming, run. So guys, please do go follow Scott. Smash that subscribe button down there if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, be the hero of your own life. Peace. If someone has ever said anything disrespectful to your face and you don't have a response and you freeze, then click here right now to find out how on earth you can defend yourself in a conversation with Jefferson Fisher.
They will provoke you into an emotional response because they delight